It was the kind of rain that felt like the world was washing itself clean, only mine had just gotten messier. My name is Emily Carter, 29, born and raised in Chicago. And I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who ran from her own life. But that's exactly what I did. Just 2 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I had a steady job at a publishing house downtown, a city apartment with exposed brick and overpriced rent, and a boyfriend who made me believe in forever. His name was Ethan, and I thought he was the love of my life. But love, I learned, doesn't always look like flowers and promises. Sometimes it looks like betrayal. I came home early that day, rain soaking my coat, arms full of Thai takeout and plans to surprise him. But he was already busy with someone else. And not just any woman. It was Jenna, my best friend since college. The two people I trusted most tangled up in each other on my couch like I didn't exist. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. Or cry. I just stood there, heart cracking in slow motion, and walked out. I left the food on the sidewalk and packed one suitcase in silence. No explanations, no drama. Goodbye. But once I slammed the door on that chapter, I realized I had nowhere to go. My parents had moved to Arizona last year, and my brother Ryan, well. We hadn't spoken in years after a falling out too complicated to explain. I didn't have many people left, except one. Liam Walker. He was Ryan's best friend, growing up, the guy who practically lived in our house during high school. Back then, he was tall and quiet, a little rough around the edges, with eyes that always watched more than they spoke. We'd had a complicated thing once, nothing serious, just tension, late-night talks, lingering glances, and a kiss that never got mentioned again. That was nearly a decade ago. But something in me, raw and desperate, pulled up his number. I don't even know why I still had it saved. When he answered, I didn't even say hello. Just, Liam, it's me. He didn't ask why I called. He didn't say he was busy or act surprised. He just said, come here. Liam lived in northern Michigan now, in a cabin-style home tucked between the trees, quiet and far from the trees. Why and far from the chaos of Chicago. When I arrived, drenched, shivering, eyes swollen from the storm inside, Mahi just opened the door and looked at me like I was the same girl he used to know. But I wasn't. I was broken. He didn't ask for details. Didn't make me explain. He just carried my bag to the guest room and made me tea like I belonged there. You can stay as long as you need, he said, voice low, eyes unreadable. I told him it would only be a few days. I lied. Days turned into weeks. The silence of the woods wrapped around me like a blanket. There was no traffic, no social media, noise, no awkward run-ins with people who knew too much. Just me, a crackling fireplace, and a man who kept his distance but not too far. Liam worked with his hands, carpentry, building tables, fixing old homes, shaping wood like it could be healed. I spent most days curled up with books I couldn't focus on, but at night, we talked about everything and nothing. And slowly, something in me started to thaw. I caught him watching me when he thought I wasn't looking. I found myself smiling again, real smiles, not the kind you fake to survive. But I also noticed how he avoided talking about his past. About Claire, the woman who left him 2 years ago, and about Ryan. He didn't bring him up, and I didn't ask. Then one night, after too much wine and a conversation that drifted too close to that old kiss, I saw something in his eyes, something that said he wasn't just giving me a place to stay. He was holding back, for my sake or his. I wasn't sure. But my body ached for someone to hold me like they meant it. My heart wanted something real again, even if I wasn't sure I deserved it yet. And in that moment, I realized something dangerous. I didn't just want comfort. I wanted him. And that terrified me. The night we crossed the line. Everything changed. It started slow, quiet music, a shared bottle of red wine, the fireplace casting shadows on the walls. Liam had cooked us dinner, grilled salmon, roasted potatoes, and a salad he barely touched. I couldn't stop looking at him. There was something about the way he moved that night, like he was holding something back. After everything I'd been through, I didn't think I could feel desire again. But sitting across from Liam in the soft glow of that cabin, with the air thick between us, I felt more than just sci-fi felt wanted. And it scared me, 'cause I didn't want a rebound or a warm body. I wanted something real, something raw, something that could undo me and put me back together all at once. After dinner, we sat on the couch, side by side, like we had many nights before. But this time, when our hands brushed, neither of us pulled away. I turned to him, my voice low, unsure but brave enough to speak. "Why are we pretending this isn't happening?" I asked, his jaw tensed. His eyes searched mine like he was making a decision he couldn't undo. Then, without a word, he leaned in. That first kiss wasn't gentle. It was full of tension, of all the nights we stayed silent, all the moments we avoided touching, all the words we didn't say. It was a kiss that said, finally, that night, I let go. Of the pain, of the fear, of the girl who had been cheated on and tossed aside like she didn't matter. With Liam, I wasn't broken. It was something else, something alive. He took control, in the way only a man who truly sees you can. His hands were rough from work, but they moved over me with care. His voice, usually steady, trembled against my skin. And when we made love, it wasn't about fixing what had been broken. It was about creating something new. The way he held me afterward, forehead resting against mine, fingers tangled in my hair. I knew I'd never felt anything like it. The days that followed were like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. We fell into a rhythm, quiet mornings, with coffee, slow kisses in the kitchen, his hands on my waist like he never wanted to let go. I started cooking again. He started smiling more. Felt easy, but also electric. The tension between us didn't fade, it deepened. Like we were exploring each other with every look, every touch, every moment we shared. It was passionate, but it was also peaceful. I wasn't used to that combination. I'd had love before, or at least what I thought was love, but never like this. Still, not everything felt right. Liam had a drawer in his study he always kept locked. It looked old, scratched on the edges, like it had been opened and closed 1,000 times before. I never asked about it, but I noticed how he always checked it when he thought I wasn't looking. And then there were the nights he'd stare at me when he thought I was asleep, his fingers brushing my hair softly. His expression unreadable. It felt like he was holding on to something. Or someone. I tried not to let it bother me. We all have pasts. But the curiosity ate at me, especially when I saw a name flash across his phone screen one afternoon while he was in the shower. Ryan Carter. My brother. It's the same brother who hadn't spoken to me in almost 3 years. The name hit me like ice water. Why was Liam talking to Ryan? Why hadn't he mentioned it? Was it just a coincidence? A check-in? A secret? My heart started racing. I didn't want to believe that the only person who had made me feel safe again was hiding something. But that name, it opened a door I hadn't realized was still locked. I started questioning everything. The timing. The way he never mentioned. My family, the way he always seemed to know exactly what to say to calm me down. I wanted to trust him. God, I wanted to trust him. But after what Ethan did, after Jenna, trust didn't come easy. That night, when Liam wrapped his arms around me in bed, I didn't melt the way I had before. I felt guarded. I kissed him back, but part of me stayed hidden. I needed answers. And if he wasn't going to give them to me, I'd find them myself. Because love is only real when there are no secrets between you. And something told me Liam was keeping one. The next few days felt like I was living in someone else's life, going through the motions, saying all the right things. But inside, I was unraveling. I couldn't stop thinking about Ryan's name on Liam's phone. It echoed in my mind like a warning. I told myself there had to be a good reason, that maybe they'd reconnected randomly, but deep down I knew that wasn't it. Something had always felt too perfect between Liam and me, too well-timed. And now it felt like the cracks were finally starting to show. I became more alert, more cautious. Every time Liam left the house, I watched the clock. Every time he smiled, I looked for a lie behind it. It wasn't healthy, and it wasn't fair. But when you've been betrayed by people you loved, suspicion becomes your way of protecting yourself. One afternoon, after he left to pick up supplies, I stood in front of the locked drawer in his study and told myself not to open it. I told myself that trust means letting go. But then my eyes landed on a small key sitting in the ceramic dish by the window, the one I'd seen him use once, and I stopped pretending. My hand shook as I slid the key into the lock and opened the drawer. Inside were papers, letters, and a few old photos. I could barely breathe as I picked up the stack of envelopes, all addressed to Ryan Carter, my brother. My chest tightened as I flipped through them, dozens of letters Liam had written, some even before I showed up at his door. My name was everywhere. He talked about me like I was a project, something fragile that needed watching. "She's still not over what happened with Ethan." One letter read, "I'll make sure she doesn't fall apart again." Another said, "She's softer now, quieter. I think this city broke her more than she wants to admit." And the worst one, the one that nearly knocked the air out of me, was dated to weeks before I'd even left Chicago. "If she comes here, I'll take care of her. I'll protect her. She won't know I've been in touch with you." That was the moment my heart broke all over again. I wasn't here by accident. He knew. I was coming. He was waiting for me. I didn't remember packing with any real plan. I thought I had chosen to call Liam out of desperation. But maybe, deep down, I'd been led. When Liam came back home, I was waiting for him in the living room, holding one of the letters. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just asked, "How long have you and Ryan been talking?" He froze, eyes locking on the paper in my hand, and I could see the war going on inside him. He didn't try to lie. That almost made it worse. "Since last year," he said quietly. "He reached out to me, said he was worried about you being alone in Chicago, said you weren't answering his calls. I agreed to check in, keep an eye." "On you? Keep an eye on me," I repeated bitterly. "Like I'm a case file. Like I'm some assignment." "No, Emily, that's not what it became." He stepped toward me, voice thick with emotion. "Yes, at first it was about making sure you were okay. But the moment you walked into this house, everything changed. I fell in love with you. I wanted to believe him. Part of me still did. But the other part, the part that had already been betrayed by the two people I loved most, couldn't ignore the truth. "You should have told me," I whispered. "You should have given me the choice." He looked devastated, and for the first time I saw the man behind the strength, tired, broken, full of guilt. "I didn't want to lose you," he said. "I thought if you knew everything, you'd walk away before we even had a chance. And now you've lost me anyway," I said. I packed my things in silence that night. Liam didn't try to stop me. He just stood at the door watching, hurting. I looked at him one last time, my voice trembling. I need to figure out who I am without being someone's burden or someone's plan. I need to stand on my own. And then I left heart shattered, soul confused, but finally choosing me. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't running to someone. I was walking away from myself. The weeks after I left Liam's cabin felt like I had stepped into a new version of myself, one where I finally stopped running and started breathing on my own. I rented a tiny studio in Traverse City, not too far from Liam, but far enough to be on my own terms. I got a job at a small bookstore, spent my mornings shelving novels and my nights writing in a journal I never used to open. For the first time in years, I wasn't anyone's girlfriend, sister, or responsibility. I was just Emily. And somehow, in the quiet, I began to heal, not from heartbreak, but from the parts of myself I had forgotten to protect. Still, Liam was always there in the back of my mind. His voice, his touch. The way he looked at me like I was the only person who existed in the room. I hated how much I missed him. I hated that even after everything, some part of me still believed he was the only man who had truly seen me. But love isn't just about passion or timing. It's about truth. And the truth was, he broke mine when he chose to keep that secret. And yet, healing doesn't erase love. It just makes space for clarity. One chilly Sunday morning, I got a call from a number I didn't know. When I picked up, it was my brother, Ryan. I almost hung up, but something in his voice stopped me. He apologized. Not just for losing touch, but for everything. He told me he had asked Liam to look out for me because he didn't know how to. Help without hurting me again. He said Liam never wanted to deceive me, that he hadn't expected to fall for me, but he did, deeply. And Ryan said he had never seen Liam look so lost as the day I walked out. After we hung up, I sat on my tiny balcony with a cup of coffee and cried not because I was hurt, but because, for the first time, I finally understood. Liam had made a mistake, yes, but it came from love, not control. He didn't try to save. Mahi tried to be there for me when I couldn't be there for myself. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't ready to give up on something that real. That night, I drove back to the cabin. It was late, almost midnight, and everything was quiet except the crunch of gravel under my tires. The porch light was on, like it had been the night I first arrived. He opened the door before I could even knock. He looked different, tired maybe, but softer. Like time had humbled him. He didn't speak. He just looked at me like I was a dream he thought he'd lost. "I'm not here to fix anything," I said, voice shaking. "I'm not here because I need someone to carry me. I just wanted you to know I never stopped loving you." His eyes welled up, and for a second, neither of us moved. Then he stepped forward slowly, like he was afraid I'd vanish. When he touched my face, it was with the kind of tenderness that breaks you open. "I didn't handle things right," he whispered, "but everything I said, everything I felt, it was real. You were never a plan, Emily. You were always my choice." I let him kiss me then. And in that moment, all the pain, all the anger, all the fear melted into something warmer, something whole. We didn't need to rush, didn't need to fix every scar right away, but we had something rare, a second chance, the kind of love that comes not from perfection, but from understanding, from surviving the storm and still reaching for each other when the sky clears. Over the next few months, we started slow. We learned how to love without losing ourselves. We talked more. We argued sometimes, but we always came back to the truth. We chose each other every single day, and that, in the end, is what made it real. Love didn't save me. I saved myself. But Liam, he was the place I came home to once I knew who I was. And this time, I walked through the door not as a woman who needed to be rescued, but as a woman ready to love, fully and freely, with nothing to hide.